Okay, folks. So I just read through a the supplemental report that was entered into the record by Detective O'Neill, and this report was basically the first time. Well, no, it wasn't the first time, but it was done on November 5th of 2005. Um, when they went out to the Avery cabin and spoke with Stephen Avery. And Detective O'Neill spoke with Stephen at length, and he asked Stephen if he saw Teresa Halbach driving away from the property. Well, first, what he asked was, did you touch Teresa Halbach's car at all? And he said, well, yeah, I did. I touched the driver's side door, somewhere on the outside of the door frame, because I was holding the door open while she was handing me the Auto Trader magazine. Folks, they didn't find any prints of Stephen Avery's anywhere on that vehicle. The man just admitted to handling the car door, and there's no prints of his on that vehicle, including where they should have been. Anybody else find that really interesting? He then said that when she left, he watched her shut the door and she left, and she turned heading towards Larrabee, which is about a 5-minute drive from Mishicot. So I got to thinking, where does Ryan Hilligoss live, or where did he live at the time of the murder? I don't know the answer to this, so I'm going to find out. I'm digging at the moment, but in the course of my digging, I found a transcript from when he appeared on Nancy Grace during the trial. So I'm going to analyze that and analyze his trial testimony, and then I will be presenting that in a future video. But aren't you excited? I'm also going to put the transcript, or the link to that transcript, in the description below, along with the link to the transcript of this supplemental report in the description below. So, Stephen then told them that the Thursday after the murder, at 8:00, he was with Chuck and they were running an errand, and they saw tail lights behind Stephen Avery's house. And they turned around, they went back to Stephen Avery's house, and they used a flashlight to sort of search behind his house and the tree line. They didn't see anything. Taillights behind Steve's house? What could that be, Scott? He then said that the next night, Friday night, at around 8-ish, Chuck called him and told him that he saw headlights near his house. Yeah, cover-up's going on there, folks. That's all I'm saying. But here's what cracks me up. Here's where it gets interesting. In Bobby Dassey's statement, he never says anything about bringing home a deer. Apparently, he didn't hunt a deer down and retrieve it and bring it home. Barb saw a deer that had been struck by a car on the road, and Bobby went out and retrieved said deer and brought it home and cleaned it. This fits in even better with my theory that Brendan Dassey was describing the killing of a deer in a garage when he was talking about how they killed Teresa Halbach. Because if it was struck by a car, it's very possible that the animal was on its last breath, was very close to death, incapacitated, but not quite dead yet. Why wouldn't Bobby have taken a gun at that point and pumped it full of bullets in order to finish the job, and then clean the deer, and then cleaned up the blood from the garage floor? Think about it, folks. I know it's a little out there, but it's not nearly as fucking nuts as some of the shit that the prosecutions put out. Just saying. Now, I have to wonder, A lot of people are talking about the keys and how that's been pointed out, and Jerry Buting has even acknowledged it. How in the photo of Teresa, she's got keys in her hand. It's very obviously multiple keys, but the key that was found was only one key. Folks, if you look at the picture of that one key, notice the grind marks on it. That's a fresh key. That key has never been used, and it sure as fuck has not been used for 6 years at that point. And, I know that Teresa Halbach probably hadn't owned that car that long, but what I'm saying is that there's no wearing down of the fresh grind marks from the key grinder on that key. Let me put it to you this way, folks. I'm going to show you something here. This is my house key, okay? I've lived in my house a little over a year. We moved in November of 2014. Yeah, 2014. And we've been here a little over a year, which means I've used this same house key every single day, multiple times a day for over a year. Look at this key. You can see the grind marks on it still, but you see what else you see? You see the striations from it being pushed into the lock and turned. Look at that. If that key had ever been used, you would see striations coming down the length of the key from being pushed into the ignition and turned. That key had never been used. Not a single fucking time. Not once. Not once. Not to mention that where the fuck is her other keys? And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If she had handled that key numerous times, or even just once, her DNA would have been somewhere on that key fob, on that key. No DNA of hers at all. None. Not a fucking scrap of DNA. And none of her keys were ever found. If they weren't in the burn barrel and they weren't in her fucking car, where are her keys? Where are her actual keys, folks? That's the big question. You find those keys, you find the killer. Barb, go through your husband's shit. Serious. All right, folks, I am going to go through Ryan Hillegas's testimony at the trial and through this transcript of horse shit from Nancy Grace, and I will present to you my analysis of that later on today. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next video.